Oh yeah. Gang, just like the billboard says, we're getting into some amazing phrasing today. Amazing phrasing today, and it doesn't have to be hard. Right away, we're out of the gates playing in G. Gee whiz, join me. We're gonna get simple and tasty and satisfying, right? What makes a phrase stick? What makes anything memorable? Not always impressive, maybe both. Maybe impressive because it is memorable. Tasteful. You know you want it. You know you're seeking it. Now let's go to this note. Same rhythmic phrase. And you know what might make it stick even better? Play that in between note there. Is if you sing it along with it. Ba, ba. Doesn't matter if you're a singer. Doesn't matter if you're a singer. We all are today. Ba, ba. Go up one note. Ba, ba. Ba, ba. Ba, ba. Let's keep going up. Da, da. Da, da. Same rhythm pattern. Da, da. But a little variation, right? Da, da. How about this? Da, da. Same thing. Da, da. Da, da. Da, da. Ba, ba. We're going up to that G. Ba, ba. Ba, ba. Look how we're evolving this. Same rhythm, different notes. How about this? Da, da. Da, da, da. Try that. Da, da. Now we do a bend here. Use your ear. Da, da. Da, da, da. Little pickup phrase there. You hear how the underlying phrase is exactly the same, but we're adding a little more. Try that. Try evolving this simple, repetitive, and yet memorable, satisfying morsel. I'll play rhythm. How we doing today, gang? It's great to see you. We got who we got? We got Tony Martino. We got Tim Taylor. We got Rich. We got Nightbot, of course, in the chat, letting you know that we run these workouts literally every day of the week. You know, somebody the other day was saying, hey, you know, I noticed you don't do workouts on Sunday, so technically it's not guitar workout of the day. I'm like, wait, does anyone feel that we're getting shortchanged here? We do every weeknight, me and my members. We do a Zoom hang together, me and my members. We do the open stream here on Saturdays. Awesome. This is for all of us. Many of you are members watching right now. In fact, I would say almost 99.9%. Crazy. Not cultish, but ish. So Sundays are our rest day, right? Here we go. If you want to play some rhythm with me, I'm just doing a G9 chord. Guess what? Phrases apply to everything. Meaning you can have a phrase happening in a rhythm part. You can have a phrase happening in a low riff. We're going to talk about today how entire songs are just composed of phrases. Phrases are just little things that repeat. And that's basically music as we know it. How we doing, gang? Let me know. In a word, describe how your guitar practice is going. Were you warming up today? Were you getting the engines fired up and ready to go? Because phrasing is amazing. And I would imagine that it is the stuff that we crave as listeners. It is the stuff that made us say, wow, this guitar hero that I love always sounds like them. They always sound like BB. They always sound like Jeff Beck. They always sound like, you know, St. Vincent. Whatever it might be that grabs you about their playing. And we were talking, this is my celery juice, by the way. If the celery juice hits, I might have to run and just leave the camera rolling because celery juice does not wait. It is like a train rolling through when it wants to roll through. Anyway, It's good for the soul. It's good for the constitution. On the launch pad. Okay, great. Getting ready, getting productive. But I was asking my members earlier this week, I was like, okay, what would we define phrasing as? And let's try that again. Let's make a one, every time you write one word, it'll pop up on the screen as you just saw. Let's put together our power list of words that define what makes phrasing something different than just noodling or running scales or just completely improvising a solo. So go ahead, whatever word you put, keep it clean, is going to fill up the screen, and that'll help us prime our mindset so that we can dive into some more grooves over this blues backing track. Some mood. Oh, that's good. Freshly squeezed juice right there. Conversation's a great word. Timing is critical. That's important. And timing in the sense of how, someone's comedic timing, someone's conversational timing, how they pace out their words, whether they pause in between their statements, or if they're just talking nonstop the whole time and the listener doesn't have time to digest what they've been hearing, and all of a sudden you feel like you're hearing about their whole day and you can't really figure out where it began or where it ends. Breath, right? Intention, purpose. And some of these words might at first sound like they're lofty or they're sort of abstract, but truly the number one thing that I think sets you apart as a musician is if you listen like a listener, and if you listen with purpose. What that means to me, to define it in a sort of practical way, is you're listening for patterns. You're listening for things that repeat. You're listening for things that grab your ear. And we all know that just as listeners, when it's not our job to be playing, we can just be like listening to music and simply say, hey, I like that. And usually what you like, you're able to identify. So it has something about it that if you were to hear it again, you'd probably like it again, right? So start to try to bring that to the top of your list as you're playing, because listening isn't just for when we're listening back to the music. And this is where I need you, my guitar friends, both my members and my people who are not yet members, who we hope to have you in the community soon, to start to take on the responsibility that when you're playing, it's not like, oh, I'm just playing and I'm doing the best I can and not play any bad notes. And then when I look up, I just sort of try to like see through the wreckage how it went. You don't listen later after the fact. You might be like listening back to voice memos and recordings of your playing. That's a different style of listening that's still with purpose, but that's like sort of reviewing game tapes. When you're in the middle of playing, you are listening, and sometimes you have to really focus to make sure you can carry on the part of what you're playing while listening. So I'm listening back into my mind to that phrase. So in real time, and this is where you can develop this. I'm not like, the best at this. If we think of like George Benson being able to sing while he's playing, that's like almost immediate. Being able to hear in your inner ear, and that's the next big point on the list, the phrase that you're it's like on the tip of your tongue, and you're just you've played it a lot, probably, if you've played a lot of blues. Whatever that is for you, you've got something that you feel like you know how it's going to sound when it comes out. So that first phrase that I played, the moment I played that, I felt the urge to respond to that, because what that was right there is a short phrase. A phrase, another word for that might be a motif. So in music, in classical music, in all forms of Western and popular music, a thing, a riff, a doodad, a melody, that's going to have, it's almost like a key fitting in a lock. It sort of has a distinctive quality to it. You could remember it if you heard that exact phrase or a slight variation of it. If I came back a few seconds later, like right now, and went, it rings a bell, right? Versus if I went somewhere else, which is totally valid and allowed, and it's player's choice. But if I went, that's great. That's a different phrase. That's a different motif. I might never repeat that. Sure. There's lots of times in a solo where you develop it and you just continue working in different directions. So there's no set rules, but when it comes to music, some of the stuff that sticks to our ribs and makes us kind of like get it stuck in our head, and as a listener just feels really satisfying, are these patterns and are these shapes. And every player, I promise you, has enough of a vocabulary to be able to put together some phrases. So even if you're just like, how many of you right now have been playing guitar for less than 3 years or less? let me know. Or in fact, how about this? Just an open question. Put roughly the number of years that you've been playing guitar. And if you feel like, well, I played for a while and I stopped for 20 years and then I'm back at it, you can grab the active years and just drop that number into the chat. Because I guarantee you, if you are, as long as you're not day one trying to figure out like which way to hold it and all that, you've got enough ingredients to work up your vocabulary. So Andrew's saying 2 with an exclamation point. I love it. 2.5. Greg, I like it. It's when you're counting it into decimal points, you know that you're really on the case. Akil saying, hey, Akil, how many years you been playing? We got 6. We got 3. Shizzle. And this is kind of fun because some of my members, I've seen the way you guys have progressed literally to realize that you've only been kind of playing this stuff for like sometimes, like a handful of years. And by the way, it doesn't matter. Like I've been playing for, 25 years or something. Way more than that. What am I talking about? Like 30 years. I don't even know. Enough to know better, basically. But what I'm getting at is that let's say if we had just this chunk of this G major pentatonic scale and you're just starting to get your training wheels off, just playing this little area of the scale. You might be thinking, well, the problem is I don't know enough notes yet. I don't know where all the notes on the fretboard are. And what I really need to do is I really need to get into, triads and mapping out the neck. Valid as that might be, something that you should totally be working on. In the meantime, your vocabulary, your phrasing is as important, if not more, because within phrasing, we can make a meal out of, like, if we have bread and peanut butter and jelly, we all know we can make a pretty solid lunch with just those ingredients, and it's nothing to scoff at. In fact, sometimes there's a lot of people on this earth that are going to want that lunch more than they're going to want, whatever, mussels, and all the mussels with a white wine sauce would be pretty great. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's look at this exact chunk of this G major pentatonic. And in fact, let's start by playing this in just a very straightforward, like, practice. This is not a phrase, just to have the contrast of like, hey, we're just learning this scale. Let's do that. And we'll use this backing track as our helpful backdrop. So that much. So we're just going to do that. 1, da, da, da. This is not tasty music. This is just practicing the shape. But try to play that nicely, smooth, and rhythm. In fact, let's do that all again. Here we go. Starting, and this is that G on the first string. We go da, 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 da. And again. Now let's go low to high. Here we go. It's going to sound a little bit not that hip because we're not really moving with the changes. I get it. I hear it too. I know. Let's go high to low. Okay. Now, let's say you're just that far into working with the scale. Even if you literally just learned that today, we can work with that. Because all that separates this very static kind of practice session kind of way of playing the notes and a phrase is giving it something distinctive. And this is where your biggest takeaway, if I deliver on the clickbait sort of like title, as far as this one trick and this one secret is going to skyrocket your playing like to the extreme, it is use your voice. It's what I've been alluding to. Sing, even though you don't think you're a singer, because it's not about singing pretty. It's about singing out the rhythm. Because if you sing a rhythmic phrase like a bam, 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 ba, 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 could be anything. And then you start putting notes that ride along with that, that becomes a distinctive phrase. And then you can work with it and evolve it and shape it. And that's the process. So if I went from this snooze fest, and if I simply said, okay, same notes, but I'm going to just sing a little phrase before I go back into just playing, like let your fingers take a rest and go like ba, 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 ba. And could you even say something with fewer notes? Okay, could I do ba, 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 ba? Give it a bit of a swing feel, just ba, 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 ba. So ba, 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 ba. That's it. Ba, 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 ba. So since I can't hear you, you're at the mercy of going along with my phrase, but I'm demonstrating what you can and should, and dare I say, must start prioritizing so that you feel like your playing is saying something. And here's the easiest and most kind of like reassuring part of this is that it begins by you literally saying something, like you using your vocal cords and being like, what would I say over this music? Well, I don't know. No one's ever asked me. And it might be a little weird and daunting at first, but if you just, before you go trying to play your scales, just go, ba, 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 ba. Or let's say something totally different. You're like, no, I don't like that. I want ba, da, 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 ba, ba, da, da, da. And if you've never done that, it'll totally feel silly. Here I am doing it in front of a huge audience across the interwebs. And I've done it enough to just feel like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to sing in tune and get a record deal on The Voice or whatever. I'm just trying to get something out of my head and reveal to myself what my first instincts are. And then I can add the notes later rather than the other way around, always thinking that the scale has to get there first. Okay? This is what I like to describe to people as like, we don't learn the scales to get permission to play those notes. The scales help us explain what we've already done. And it helps us sort of understand and analyze like, oh, that's why, these things that I like to do work. And that's where you turn the tables on the scales so that you don't feel bossed around by them. So let's try this now. We're gonna sing this little phrase. I'll remind you. It's like ba 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 ba. So it's ba 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 bo. And let's do that. We'll skip that note there. And that's, as you get into this, you'll evolve. You'll have these decisions of like, I like that, but what might be even better is ba 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 ba. Oh, great! I like that even better. So I'm gonna go ba ba ba, and I'm just. You get the idea. There's a little sort of swerve there of the grace note, that slide in. So 1, 2. Let's see. 1, 2. 1, 2. With that phrase. Ba, da, da, dum, dum. And then let it breathe. Ba, da, da, bum, bum. And again. Ba, 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 bum, bum. Keep doing it. All right, let's check in. How is that going? On a scale of 1 to 4, is it clicking? Are you able to keep up? 1 being like, yep, got it. In fact, I'm starting to wonder why I even came here. I know all this stuff, coach. Having the espresso in this lovely little glass that I hope not to break. I feel like I'm going to break it. I feel like I've been like trusted with a tiny kitty cat. It's like, I want to love it and hug it and squeeze it. And Andrew, it's all right. Andrew, you're putting in the work and you're taking on a lot of information. So I saw the 3 and I like that honest answer, kind of. Most people are kind of towards the mostly and towards the yep, got it. Not wondering why I'm here though. Okay, good. Yeah, like we're not having like big existential crisis moments. Okay, so what would you say for those of you, and there's many of you that are towards the top, and it's great wherever you are. Always know that with my stuff that I try to make it accessible and also challenging. So for those that are ready for a bit more, what would you say we could do? What's the very next thing we could do to this phrase to maybe customize it a bit or evolve it, right? Because that's one of the biggest things as we get into this mindset of phrasing is that we sing what comes to the top of our brain. You could just have a cool thing that you'll start to notice like, oh, what's that thing I'm humming at the grocery store? Sing it into your phone, capture it. You could turn that into a riff. And then that's your rough draft that you evolve it. So what would we do to evolve this riff that we started with? What I sometimes refer to as like the clay, like the snake. When you're in like 3rd grade art class is what I can think. They roll out the chunks of clay and then you're like, all right, what do I start with? Well, I'm going to start with rolling out a snake. So we've got a good solid starter phrase here. Looking for you guys. I'm just vamping here. Tell me, what would you, okay, move it around is one idea. Moy says howdy. Howdy, Moy. It's great to see you. What else could we do with this? This isn't live, says Bob. Oh, Bob, you just got called out so hardcore. I'm so sorry, Bob, but you might be right in your namesake, but you're wrong to think this ain't live. Unless you're saying like this isn't lively, then that's a valid criticism. Add a response. Yeah, okay, add a response to the lick. Dynamics, great. These are all great ideas. So this now allows, when you have a starter riff, you can add some sauce to it. So dynamics and articulation is important to phrasing, but it's not like the be all end all. And this is a lot of what I'm telling you already know, but this is more like, oh, if I put the singing of the phrase above the tone and the sauce and the articulation, then the sauce, the articulation of like if I played it real punchy like that, or if I did it in a different spot, if I was like gave it a slide or came down from a bend of above, whatever it might be, that's like the inflection I'm putting on it. Yeah. So bring those ideas into the fold. We want to be repetitive, and I would say for starters with this phrase, we're so repetitive it gets kind of static. And so this is where I'm going to introduce to you guys, adding a response is a great way of saying, bring in a variation, bring in some sort of alternation would be one way to do it. And this is what's cool, is that this breaks us into our next area of phrasing, is that, have you ever seen those Russian nesting dolls, the matryoshka dolls? Like, that's my analogy for like pretty much every hook, every riff, every song, every like structure of music that we all listen to is made up of patterns inside of patterns. It's like, it's pretty deep. It's turtles all the way down. But what I mean by that is that this little lick that is one small phrase. Now if we create a variation of this, like within a blues, like when it goes to that C chord, it creates this interesting, similar but different shape. And that gives us more flavor. That sort of gives us this, like what I call like the fresh stick of gum moment, where it's like, I like it, but the gum's starting to lose a little bit of flavor. Oh, all it took was like a little variation right there. We can talk about relative major and minor in a bit, but right here, let's just sort of stay within this, this zone, and I'll just bring in this note right here. So what I did there, and that in a way brought in a note from the G minor pentatonic, is one way you could look at it. But you don't even need to be thinking in terms of scale, because what that is a note that is in a C7. So play with me, if you would, just those three notes right there, right? And that's a great little 3-note version of a C7. So even if you were just using this as a chord piece, like a, right to that G7. So for our opening lick, let's do this twice. And we'll repeat that. Now it's going to go to the C7. It'll go. So that's all we're going to do, is change that one note. But it's going to make a big difference, and I'll prove it to you. Let's try it. 1, 2. Starting with that first G lick that we had before. And we'll play that again. Now we're going to the one that brings in that blue dot. Almost identical. Go back to that G lick. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there just to say, for those of my members that have been rocking out with us throughout the week, and by the way, if you're watching this and you're not a member, just know, real quick, just want you to know, you always get 2 weeks totally free to try everything. We do much more bite-sized workouts throughout the week. So we've been building on this concept, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And now we're having kind of like the long form sort of review of it. And it's fun. And you get plenty of chances and reasons to dare and share your progress, which is huge. And in fact, just this past week, we opened up, or last week, I guess it was, we opened up the permanent Zoom room, the jam room, for members to just go and connect on Zoom. It's open 24/7 within the community. And you can show up and talk to each other and play and jam and exchange riffs. It's really cool, and it's a great add-on, just part of the experience. But what we're looking at right here, with this phrase, as we're going down from this right, we played that once, and we played it again. Then the third time we went, and then we went back to that main lick. So Moy, my man Moy, I think you're on top of this. Tell me if you would, how would we write out that pattern of those phrases in the form of like when we do like A's and B's, And this is don't think of these A's and B's as like the note A and B. It's just one of these confusing things that music is so good at, is having lots of letters and numbers. But when someone is saying like, oh yeah, that song structure, that song form is made up of, yeah, so Moy says AAB, and you're almost there. It's AAB, which is correct. And then it goes back to the A. And this right here is super duper powerful, and we're going to play with this idea that this is form, and that form is what you might hear someone referring to, like, hey, what's the form of the tune? These A's could be anything. They could be these short little riffs that we're playing. So that'd be like, but we're just labeling that A kind of arbitrarily. And then we played that twice. Now we go to the B. It's like a variation of the A, like, and then we go back to the A. Great. That's the type of thing that an experienced player kind of carries in their head. A lot of times when we're wondering, like, what is an advanced player hearing or seeing and visualizing? Usually they have a very simple structure like that, a form of a phrase that they're able to then just like call upon in their brain without having to think about, okay, first finger goes here on 3rd fret and then 5th fret. They're not seeing all the little moving parts. They're more just like, yeah, I'm going to do a little and then I'll do a like variations of it evolve, and they're built off of the thing that they just said musically, what they just said before. So let's play that game. We're going to do this AABA, and how about this? What if we make a variation on this one right here? So let's say we do like, this will be like A1, meaning that's like, that'll be this exact like, and now kind of what you guys were saying, we'll create a response to that opening lick. We'll do like, how about that? And that'll be, we'll treat that in our head as if it's sort of like A, but it takes a different turn. So it goes da, 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 da. And for that, I'll add another blue note here. Right? So let's practice that, like 3, 4, ba, da, 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 ba, 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 with the foot thumb. Ba, 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 ba. Okay? Now let's go back to A1. It's this one. Ba, da, 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 ba, 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 ba. There it is. Da, 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 ba. Now let's go to A2. Ba, da, 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 ba, 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 ba. And then we'll do B. 3, 4. Ba, 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 ba. Great. So we got those phrases, those smaller phrases that are warmed up and ready to go. And the beauty of it is that those little phrases, each one of these, they add up to make this whole thing is a phrase. That's the doll. If there's the doll that is, oh boy, this will be good. Like, hi. Then this is the bigger doll that's around it is like, hi. Totally not weird. You get it. In fact, I'll leave that up there. Here we go. Ready? A 1, a 2. Sorry, that was a very bad count in. That's a major faux pas on my part. I meant to do this. Jam etiquette, right? A 1, 2 with that A1 riff. Now let's go to the A2 riff. Now the B riff. Now let's go back to that first A riff. Cool, right? Is that making sense? Even if you're not able to keep up with every single dot that we're playing, is the idea making sense? And is it getting you excited? Is it clarifying anything for you? Is it exciting any possibilities in your head? Yee! Hello! And if you have any questions, let me know as we go, and we're going to move around and play some other stuff. In fact, let's see if we just take this exact same concept. Don't worry, we've got that in the recording, that little area there. You might be wondering, well, like you said something about playing chords or playing lower riffs, like lower register riffs. Let's do that. Let's sort of build like a something like that. Like just to show us that the idea of phrasing it's not the same thing as a solo. It could be, oh yeah, you got such great phrasing. Like, sure, that's phrasing, but so is like, that's a phrase because it has a sort of pattern, right? Let's try that. Let's do, in fact, something sort of like that. Let's do like a boom, dum, boom, dum, dum, boom, 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 dum, boom, boom. All right, this is going to test you. I think you're ready for it. And this also kind of gets into this really important rhythmic quality of this. Because if you don't have a sense of the groove and like where you are in the groove, you're always going to sound a bit stiff and a bit like you're just hoping to play correct notes, right? So if someone was trying to not play wrong notes, they tend to be more tentative when it comes to the rhythm. So look, I'll simulate. Let me know if this reminds you of sometimes how you feel when you're worried about hitting a wrong note. It's very careful, and it would be like a kid that every single step is like afraid of slipping on the ice or jumping in the cold water. Now, let's say if you just worked on these notes, so you started to learn like, okay, these are the safe notes, and then you give yourself a chance to reset and be like, okay, now what do I want to say with these notes? Again, back to that first idea, you have your vocabulary, and now it's like boom, boo ba ba be boom, boo ba. And if you came up with that lick, maybe you came up with a vocal lick where you're like, ba-da. It could be so simple. It could be 2 notes, but it has something to it where you could be like, yeah, all right, I could play all these notes that I just practiced, but I've decided to select and choose just da-da, da-da. That is so much more impactful than if it was like, okay, and then I got this note, and then I got that note, and then I got that note. Now what? Well, let's go back up. I got this note, then I got that note. Don't be that player. That's the musical diarrhea that we're all trying to cure in the world, right? That's the scalitis. That's the, hey, everybody, look, I'm practicing guitar. And you look up and everyone's gone. Like, you get that first 5 minutes where they're like, honey, this is great. And then after that, it's, you know what, I'm going to go check on the dishes. Because if you're only going to make us listen to you play notes that aren't wrong, you miss the whole point, right? You're here to play what you've listened to and what got you excited. And I guarantee you it was stuff that was moving and grooving, melodic phrases. They have starts and stops. They sound like phrases in a conversation. So let's try building a lower register kind of riff. Boom, boom, down, ba, da, boom. That's our repeating lick, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom. Try that. Boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 bam, bam, boom, 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 bam, bam, boom. Yeah, Bob, double stops would just be the information that is riding on that rhythm. So let's say if I was like, I got double stops, I wanna play those. Boom. Like if that's within your vocabulary, do it. But what we're mostly focusing on here is the idea that, isn't it cool that the frame, if this was a hot rod car, the frame is ba, 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 ba. In fact, we're saying Bob. So if we were saying Bob, 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 we could do that over like dum, da, 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 dum, da, 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 dum, da, 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 boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom. I could do double stops. Like that is the thing that is driving all of the information that rides on top of it, right? The notes are coming second, which is what we always intended, believe it or not, right? So let's check it out. Let's do this riff here, and then we'll evolve it, right? So a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, what do I have to do here? I got to move that riff, right? So I got to get ready for a smooth transition. And let's take the easy way out here. Let's just take this exact shape up to the 8th fret, where we're going to be playing the identical thing, but we're just on C. Okay, and then I'll already fill in what we would need here for the D. So this is making sure that we have our notes, boom, boom, da, 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 and then go up to the C, boom, da, da, da. So it's almost like a Ray Charles, boom, boom, da, da, so that we're not tripping over those dots, just finding them where they need to be, and then getting back into this phrase game. And again, some part of your brain should be already saying like, this is cool, but it's a little repetitive. Yep. I would rather it be in the groove and start off being too simple and too repetitive, and then we can evolve a variation from there, rather than trying to hit the bullseye and make something that's really elaborate and syncopated, and then, but not really repeatable, right? Because we can't remember what we said. Same way as if we're talking too much, we can't even remember what our train of thought is. We're going to start with a very simple concept here. So let's try this, and we're going to move it around the changes. A 1, a 2, you know what to do. Here we go. Boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, bam, bam, bam. Get ready. Boom, bam, bam, boom, boom, bam, 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 boom, ba, 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 boom, ba, 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 boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, 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 boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. How did that go? How did that go on a scale of 1 to 4? And feel free to ask me any questions. If you're watching this in the future, feel free to drop a comment and I'll see it. I'm the only person running the show. So even if you're not able to respond in this live comment section as this airs, go for it and leave a comment. And furthermore, I want you to know that I want to hear you play the way you play. Send me your solo. And this goes, my members always hear from me and they have a space where they can share whenever they want to, then the dare to share. But for people that are not yet signed up, I genuinely want to hear how it is you're working on these things that I put out into the world, because that makes me excited. And to make it even more exciting, one lucky person that I think really knocks my socks off is going to get a free membership to the community. So please check out my free resources, the free tabs and the lessons. And this is an example of that. These free streams that we do on Saturdays are great. And if you want to take the momentum and not go back to just going down YouTube rabbit holes and, you know, just video to video, a la carte tapas style, join us, won't you? You get 2 weeks to just play more guitar in 2 weeks than you have an entire last year. And it's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So even after you stay after your 2 weeks, if you're like, you know what, turns out I don't got time for this, these workouts are making my fingers hurt, then you can just get your money back and you're fine. But please take me up on those offers, because this is a really, I think we have an amazing community. We have over 500 members now, thriving, and people welcome each other in all levels of playing. And it's just a lot of fun, as hopefully you're witnessing. So great, we're doing pretty well with this. Now let's evolve this riff. Let's give it a little more give and take. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. And by the way, just as sorry, I keep interrupting myself. This is that train of thought thing that I'm not so good at. But if you're wondering, okay, well, it's good for this, it's good for that. Like, remember that all of this is music. And remember that I keep saying you can use this over anything. So look. Like, I was kind of trying to demonstrate that taking that same like ba, 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 that type of energy, I could move that through rhythm riffs in the middle register of like, I could do that with chords like the, I highly encourage you to kind of play that game where you have a constraint. You have one phrase idea, one rhythmic idea, and you see how many concepts you can run through that. Like I could do like, right? You're kind of making sure that you don't try to juggle too many things at once. And you'll actually find out if you know the things you think you know because you're playing them in time and in rhythm. So with that, we're going to add a variation to this G blues, golly G willikers. So let's do this thing right here. We'll do boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 bam, boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 bam. That's pretty nifty. And I'll just show it to you down here on G, and then you'll be able to move it to each of these spots. Sort of make this a little bit smaller. We can sort of, I'm just sort of drawing these as like circles. So check this out. Boom, 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 bam. Try that. Boom, boom, bam. Boom, 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 bam. Boom, boom, bam. Boom, 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 bam. Boom, 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 bam. Boom, 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 bam. How's that going? Right? So maybe at first it was a little bit shaky and you were kind of just trying to get the notes, but hopefully by kind of humming along, you're able to feel that like, oh, for it to sound the way that it's intended to sound, it's got to have a little more like the boom, 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 bam. So it may have started as like dun, dun, trying to be perfect, and then you let it sort of fall into a more phrase sounding where it's got this like boom, ba-dum, boom, bam. It's got an accent. It's sort of, at least the way I'm playing it, it sort of increases in volume as it goes through it. So it has dynamics. It has some articulation quality. Boom, boom, bam. I'm not going da, 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 da. I'm going boom. Those things are the decisions that you get to make to sauce it up so that this collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes becomes just one thing. And the moment that you can get that to just be one thing in your head, then that becomes much easier to carry. It takes up less space in your brain. Then it becomes whatever you want to call it. If this is like riff A, boom, boom, da, boom, da, da, then let's call this riff B, right? And this riff, like we were just saying, is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes, but you're not having to juggle all of those molecules. Hey, I'm excited about this. Let me know if you're excited about this, because I feel like this is like, honestly, what people don't know they're asking for when they say, hey, I just want to be able to play an idea that I hear in my head and flow freely on the neck. They think most of the beginner thought about that is like, oh, well, in order to play what I hear in my head, I first have to learn the whole fretboard, and then I'll be allowed permission to play all the notes, right? As if once you can unlock the Christmas tree, then it's easy to just bounce around and play whatever you hear in your head. You have to be hearing it in your head as you build these simple ideas so that you know what you like and you know what you like to sound like, right? Please don't take any of these example riffs as like, oh, this guy wants us to play this riff because that's what we're supposed to learn. Obviously not. But this is just an example of how I might go boom, boom, da, boom, 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 bam. To me, that's a game I can play all day. That is literally like, all right, make a pot of coffee. Everybody leave me alone for a while. Go play Frisbee. This is what I'm doing. Now I get ready, switch, boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, 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 bang, boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, 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 bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, 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 bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. Right. I mean, like, I was just having fun there at the end, but I was kind of demonstrating that once you get like this part of your brain lighting up where you're trusting the phrases and you're just enjoying the patterns of it, then when you unleash yourself to go play some like, it's going to sound to you, and trust me, it's going to sound to the listeners like one of those moments of like, oh, cool. Like it feels like open road, because we like patterns. We also like the breaking of patterns. It goes all the way back to duck, duck, goose, or as I've been told, and there's some Midwesterners or maybe Canadians, you can clarify this. There's a version of duck, duck, goose called duck, duck, gray goose, duck, duck, gray duck, or what is it, goose? You tell me, but there's one where I can't even say it because it just sounds like it's like, wait, what was wrong with duck, duck, goose? Anyway, you're expecting the goose, but you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. This is how you can play that game with yourself, where you're like, you know what? I'm just laying it down. Happy as can be. But the moment you decide to reach for play with fire, you can be like, and then when you go back into that pattern, it's going to feel very satisfying. It is like catnip for our brain. My analogies are what they are. I stand by them. So what you may have noticed, and you tell me, we basically have in this pattern, we have an A riff and we have a B riff, right? And again, we're not talking about the chord letters. We got boom, 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 boom. That's our A riff. Our B riff is boom, 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 boom. Okay, now what I'm going to show you, you may have caught along the first time I was playing it, but now I'm going to write out the chord changes. We've got G, 2, 3, 4, and I'll write G every single time. So we've got this like 1, 2, it's like boom, 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 boom. So just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to write, there's all the G, like the measures of G, the bars of G. And then we go bum ba da ba da ba bum ba da ba da. Right? Then we go back G ba da ba G ba da ba. And then we go D ba da ba ba da G. Right? So those are our 12 bars with the exact chords that happen on each one of those. See, there's 3 rows of 4. Right. So now the phrase, the pattern of the phrase goes like this. Actually, I'll switch colors just for impact. It goes A, and then it goes B, and that makes sense, right? We go to the A riff, and then we got B. It goes A and B, but now watch this. As we get into the home stretch, it's going to go A, and then B. Sorry, that was a horrible color choice. Sorry, I'll use that. I'll try to. Okay, so it goes A, B, A, B. Did any of you pick up on this when I played through this? Because in order to play that A to the B, talking about the phrase here, right here, you've got to be ready to move the pattern to the next chord, which can be a real brain teaser at first. But it's super duper, it's a great payoff. So I'll show you again. See if you can ride along with me. So here we go. Ooh, just the percussion. Here we go. Starting on that A riff. Sorry, I missed it. Okay. Places everybody. 3, 4. Boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, bam. B riff. Boom, boom, bam. Repeat all that. Boom, bam, boom, bam. B riff. Boom, boom, boom. Now we're in C, the A riff, B riff, A riff, boom, bam, boom, bam, B, boom, boom, A riff. I gotta get ready to switch chords and variations. Boom, down, boom, 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 boom. How we doing, gang? Getting a little bit quiet out there. Does that mean that we're totally just absorbing this like sponges and we understand it and we're totally not worried about it and we're riding high like Tony Boy? That's our guy, and he did. Oh boy. That's my dearly departed doggy Tony. About a year ago, we lost him. But what a stud. And actually, exactly 8 years ago today was when I moved to Nashville. I was living in London in the UK. And there's this photo by the lake that was the very first morning of being in Nashville. And I took it, 2017, like 6:30 in the morning, because I was jet lagged flying in from London on, UK time zone. And it's a picture of Tony and Lolly. Lolly's back here snoozing in front of this little lake right by where I live. And I didn't really even know my neighborhood yet. So I was just sort of like getting to know my local park and just taking a picture of our new home. And since then, I've taken a picture there like pretty much every single year, like maybe I've missed a year here or there, but I have at least 5 or 6 of these photos on the same day, roughly the same time, early in the morning in front of the lake. And sadly, this will be the first year that Tony's not with us. So, hurts my heart, but we got to do the tradition. And me and Lolly are going to take a photo tomorrow morning. And I think we'll include our new adopted sister, Potato, who's a big pit lab mix or pit, border collie mix. Yeah, complete character. And the dynamic of the two of them is just hilarious. And Potato's in the fold because love in my life, my lovely lady, Addie, and I have been living together for over a couple of years now. We're getting married in May. So yeah, dogs and life and walks and guitars, big part of our life. And looking forward to that. But, it's a bit bittersweet, but we love Tone. And whenever the weather's really great and we see, there was always this sort of angle of the light in the morning where when you would look at the shadows of the dogs, you see like what the dogs look like as long shadows. And Lolly and Potato have these we say it looks like sort of a cave painting of like Beowulf or whatever. It looks like this big fuzzy sort of like wolf, their shadow looks like that. Tony always had this perfect cartoon dog, like sort of bounce and strut. And so, yeah, when the weather's real nice, we always like picture like, yeah, Tony be right there with his like signature shadow bouncing along. You guys are so nice. Thank you for the congratulations. Thank you for the good tidings, and thanks for hanging out. There's not much more I have in store. I know this is a lot, and I should have like try to visit the same points throughout a lesson. We can answer any questions now, whatever you have about this topic. I might not veer off into complete brand new topics that far because I want to kind of keep it on a theme. But hopefully this gives you something to work on and come back to. And for my members, if you haven't checked it out, because the beauty of it is that you can always join us live, obviously, and you can always watch the replays. And people have their lives. Everyone's living their lives. Ooh, we got the lawnmower showing up. That's right. It's good. We needed that. But that's what's going on out there. I used to do that, but I was really bad. Has anyone else ever mowed their lawn at some point? You know what? I need to retire. I need to hang up my weed whacker and let someone else, a professional, take over. I made that decision. But this jam track is in the community. So like catch up on these phrasing games. There's lots of good stuff in there. And of course, if you're joining now, you can go back and watch those as well as we're almost up to episode 500. This is our 497th GWAD, guitar workout of the day. Anyway, but that's Potato barking at the lawnmower man. Yeah, let me know if this is in the weekly class. What I've typically been doing, and I think is Max and Kelly Estes. Yeah, Max, you're a new member. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm just sort of reading the full name. I recognize the last name. I went to school with a kid named Will Estes. I like that. I like Will, so I like you immediately already. Yeah. You can always review the workouts, and this was the theme of the week. So I tend to sort of collect it all into one long sort of spiel here on Saturdays. That's the deal. Bob's still mowing. That's good. Take pride in your work. Let's see. I can try to take requests. Let's see what you got. If it's anything related to this, that'd be great. Because we cover a lot of different topics. And so week to week, I like to try to make sure people feel like there's a bit of a theme, because it can obviously get kind of overwhelming, as you all know, with the many, many different guitar techniques and things like that. I'm going to be seeing Guthrie Trapp play tonight, along with Tom Bukovac and the Guitar Party over at 3rd and Lindsley here. I've been seeing some great shows this week. I'll be posting clips in the community. Daniel Lanois Trio was unbelievable. Gosh, who else? Oh, my buddy Chris Galbuta with this new project where he's got this incredible guitar player. He was sounding great too on guitar. He's got the drummer from Humphreys McGee, a guitarist who plays with, who who does he play with? I don't know. And the banjo player who plays with Mumford and Sons. Anyway, lots of good music happening this week in Nashville because it's been Americana. The group is family. It's entirely true. Join away. Yeah, let's just sort of jam out. I'll play rhythm for you, and what I'll do is I'll sort of demonstrate that the chords, as I've been saying, can be a phrase all in and of themselves. So how about this? I'll sing an idea. I will be playing out, Moy. I'm working that, and I'm definitely getting the bug by seeing people playing. I'm like, man, I got to start getting out of the house. It's good setting up this guitar community. Trust me, it's a love, it's a passion project. But I'm getting the itch to get out and get my rocks off. So. So I'm going to try to build a rhythm riff. So we'll do like boom, 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 down, boom. There we go. And I'll do that over here. Boom, boom, dip, boom, down, yeah, boom, boom, dip, boom, down, It's the same type of thing that I was doing. Right? You see how I have to switch chords halfway through that pattern. It's a simple A, B alternating back and forth, and it's based off of right here. Whoa, those dots got big. There's a G7, jumbo dots. And I'm just doing like, okay, so it's like a boom, dip, down, boom, and then I do a da, 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 da. Right? I would not have had that phrase had I not sung a little bit of doo-da, ba-boo-ba off the top of my head. And you'll get better at that as long as you give yourself permission to just sing like you sing in the shower. And then you can be like, babe, I got to get to my guitar. And then be like, boom, whatever you got to do. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm playing rhythm. You play some tasty riffage. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. You play again. Great job, guitar friends. I'll catch you on the flip side. Remember, if you're watching this, you're like, should I, could I, would I? Oh my gosh, do it. Just do it. And I will be getting my songs out into the cosmos. Stick around, guitar friends. I want to hear your stuff too. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great rest of eternity if you're watching this in the future. Be kind to your digital AI overlords, and they might be kind to you. It's the only hope we got. Oh yeah. Later, Gators.